So hello, everybody. Welcome. We are waiting for a few. So I'm going to give you a little rundown on what this month is going to be like. What's up, T? Guten Tag, T. I totally said it wrong, too. We'll give you a little rundown of what this month is going to look like, and then what we're going to do today and how we're going to build on Comic Month. So last time we did this in September, it was a pretty good success. Everybody enjoyed it. So we're going to do it 2 times a year. And this is going to be like this month, because it's National Women's Month. We're going to focus on female like heroine characters and artists, which is going to be great. Keen, I'm glad you're watching Looney Tunes, man. It's time to bone up. And today is going to be no different, because as per usual, we are going to start the show with a cartoon. So before we do that, I think if anybody else pops on, we'll catch them as they go. So here's a rundown of this month and how we're going to do Comic Book Month, as we're going to do it a little bit differently than we did in September, where we had like a paid camp at the end and then we all did something. We're just going to blend that in, and instead of sending printed copies out, it'll be a PDF. But each day, and we have all five of us are back on each day on doing our thing for Comic Book Month. We've all picked female artists, writers, comedians, however that blends around, to celebrate and to check out their art, their styles, and that kind of thing. And then we're going to focus each week on an element of comic book, like writing, drawing, that kind of stuff, with the goal at the end of having a 1-pager out of each class, which might seem like, oh my goodness, that's a lot, but you'll be working on your piece as you go around. And then we'll combine everybody's 1-pager, which will happen in the last week. We'll combine all of that, and then we'll put out a digital PDF and email that out to everybody that was involved in this. So I'm going to get started with my picks after we roll the cartoon. And Mr. Wizard, as true fashion, what was the cartoon we picked? It's Wile E. What was it called again?
Operation Rabbit.
Operation Rabbit, one of the very few cartoons where Wile E. Coyote speaks and he faces off against Bugs Bunny. Did you know that happens? It does. So why don't we go ahead, sir, and let's roll film. So I don't think we've ever seen that one before. There's nothing about Wile E. Coyote that will ever work, ever, and that's okay, which is part of what we're going to get into today in our creating our story arcs, right? What we want to pull off with that, how we create this comic book as we're developing our own thing. I'm developing my own comic book still. Who's my assistant today? Hold on a second. No, you're gonna have to wait for me. So my assistant today, oh man, who have I not? There's a whole lot of people that turned off their cameras because they don't want to be the assistant, and that's okay. For those of you new to the program, I randomly pick an assistant. By the way, thank you, Tay and Vicky. I do enjoy my shirt. And who knows what your role is going to be, right? It could be anything from just counting to 10, or you could have to keep track of the entire class like T did, but he did such a great job. So I'm going to go with Nathaniel. Just because you turn off your camera doesn't mean I can't pick you. I'm going to go with because Kat asked, and I wasn't even thinking about that yet. We're going to go with Kat for my assistant today. Kat, you're the lucky winner. Woohoo! Yes. What does that mean? I have no idea, but we're going to make it up on the fly. So here is what I want to, no, you're fine. Here's what I want to pull up. I want to introduce you to 2 really awesome female artists. And this last Friday, I got a chance to go down to the Art Institute in Chicago, and I got to see the Monet exhibit. And then I got to wander around while I was waiting, and I love Georgia O'Keeffe. And Georgia O'Keeffe is a fine artist who is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to share my screen with you to introduce you, if you don't know who Georgia O'Keeffe is, to Georgia, as we are celebrating female artists this month. And to Sara Pichelli, I spelled her name wrong on the site, so I'm going to have to fix that, who is a Marvel artist who does some wicked SpiderMan stuff, and just an incredible artist. I'm going to show you what she worked on with writer J.J. Abrams and his son Henry Abrams, which is very cool, on a Spider-Man book. So let's get into Scott. I can just share my screen, right?
Yes, go for it.
Let's go with open system preferences. No, come on. I don't think I've shared it on my laptop before. Zoom, yes.
Oh, okay. Think the icons down below.
Yeah, you know what though? It's saying like allow the apps. I don't want to. I can't switch to screen because it's not letting me record. I'm going to start with Sarah. Are you able to pull up a browser on yours and show? It's telling me it's going to cut the video if I do.
Let's see. I'm gonna
Check it out. Let me know if you can do it. If not, I got an end around here that I'll do. So I'm going to go with. We're going to start with Sara Pichelli. So let's go overhead. I'll switch to this while. There we go. So Sara Pichelli, right? SpiderMan, fairly iconic character. And she teamed up with J.J. Abrams and Henry Abrams, who is his son. J.J. Abrams, if you don't know who that is, think Lost, think Star Trek, the latest ones, think 2 of the last 3 Star Wars films, Super 8, there's a whole bunch of stuff he's done. It's pretty awesome. And so they teamed up to do this storyline, and it's only 5 books, right? So they had this story arc. And you can see Sarah did all the pencils and inks, I believe she did on this as well. But you can see what her work looks like because this is comic month. So we're looking at comic stories. Now, I'm not going to give away what what goes on in this because I think it's totally worth the read. But let's just say that Spider-Man, Mary Jane, they were married. They ended up having a kid. And something happens with Peter Parker and his wife. So 12 years later, right? And this is this whole, we're going to get into stories. How many story arcs are there? What can you do with that? That kind of thing. So this is the work of Sara Pichelli. I love her drawing style. You can tell just in simple, you know how we work with silhouettes and stuff last time. You can tell just by the way she draws and composes her images, right? Kind of the direction of the story. So even without necessarily reading all the words, you can get an idea for what's happening on the page. So Sara Pichelli, I recommend it. Here are the other 4 covers that she drew for the other 4 issues. So book number 2. I love the inking. Also, inking is something that I still work with. And then this will kind of, you know, if you picked up this book, yeah, something's not going right. What kind of intrigues you about that? What makes you want to pick it up and open up the cover? And then book 4 of 5. And then finally book 5 of 5. So these are her covers, her drawings.
Dad?
All right. Yes. So let's get into Georgia O'Keeffe, who we take from the fine art side of things. Am I able to show my iPad? Yes. So let me grab that real quick.
Hey, Dad. I think I'm switching with you.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to show you Georgia O'Keeffe. Now, what I love about her artwork is, hold on, I haven't put in my password yet, and to show everybody what my password would probably not be the best idea. All right. So let's get into Georgia O'Keeffe. Georgia. All right, so I'm gonna see if we turn these lights off. There we go. That'll help for this. Okay, so Georgia O'Keeffe was an artist from 1887 to 1986. She loved painting out west, like New Mexico areas out there. And we have at the Chicago Art Institute here, we have several of her paintings. And what I love about her pieces is I love the color that she brings to it and what she's able to capture. So that's her also. And then the forms that she takes. She'll go out into the desert here, and kind of like what we just watched in Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, that's obviously set in the Southwest. That's where Chuck was influenced. And she's just painting what she sees in some arcs, but I love the blend of her colors. So I'm going to get into a painting that she had there, and there we go. Let's get to this. The BBC. All right, there we go. So here's an instance of Georgia O'Keeffe and what she was painting in the hills. And what I love about it is, in a very simple way, just like Sara is able to draw really well and kind of get good forms down, Georgia is able to pull very simple shapes out, and with just the right color, get the whole essence of the landscape in there and bring some emotion. And it's not just greens or some purples in there, but the way she does her background. So there is one, and then I will grab one. There's another one, and it's very simple. So when I'm looking at Georgia and Sara, I'm looking at Sara in the pencils and the way she draws her characters, and then I'm looking at Georgia and the way she does color. So if I were to blend Georgia's color with Sara's pencils, this would be my kind of iconic comic book style. So as I'm just kind of flipping through here, you can see very vibrant in what she pulls off. That's that one that she was painting out, plain air style, but you can get an idea for what she pulled off in art. So this is Georgia O'Keeffe. I highly recommend. She has a gallery in Santa Fe. So if you're in New Mexico and you're around there, that or Albuquerque, I don't remember which one it was. It's in one of the two that she has a gallery at, and they have a lot of her stuff. So here's this. This one is in Chicago. I saw this when I was there. And to give you an idea of how big that is, it stretched an entire, what was it, 20-foot wall? It's huge. This piece is huge. So yeah, the notification that says finish my paintings and don't be an idiot. You're correct. This is my reminder to myself. There you go. That's my reminder. Finish my paintings and don't be an idiot. That's my motivation. All right, let's go back one. I wanted to grab one more that I saw, and I think I'm just going to grab the picture of it that I took while I was at the Art Institute. So, which would be awesome if it actually loaded, and it didn't. So guess what, Scott? Never mind, I got it. Okay, so Georgia O'Keeffe. I love this painting. I absolutely love this painting. And this is the black, I forget what they call it, not the black hole, but it's this one spot. And if you see that, this is the kind of the white sands in the desert and these hills that reminded her of elephants. And what's intriguing to me is with very little, she's able to pull off something like, I want to know what's going on in that space. I kind of want to travel over there. And she's able to do that very simply. All right, so there's the one painting, and then this one, which I wish I think it's Greenland or Grasslands. Absolutely captivated, stared at it for a good 15 minutes. And I love the shape and the form. I love just her subtleties and lighting and how she pulled that off. I was totally captivated by this piece. So if you're around some art and you can see stuff in person, I saw this in person, I would highly recommend that you guys take a trip. And I know this isn't a female artist, but what I wanted to show you was this was the original. This is Stacks of Wheat in the End of Summer. This is Monet, and I got to see it in person. Yeah, lots of bread. I got to see this in person. If you notice in the color, like when we get into this and we're doing, well, I'm showing you Georgia O'Keeffe and the colors and Sara and her pencils, they didn't use black. He didn't use black at all. He used, and we've taught this through the last year when we've been doing these classes, to use different colors to create shadows and deep areas. So instead of using a darker green for grass, Monet was able to see color really well and pull that off, and that's why you see it in blues. It's just amazing. So Georgia able to pull off that same kind of effect, right? And it's very visually striking, especially when you see this in person. So that is my introduction. I highly recommend that. Pacelli, P-I-C-H-E-L-L-I. I'll fix it on the site and I'll show you that. So let's go back to me for a second, Sir Scott. Thank you very much. Okay, turn these back on. Now let's get into our own storyline. So the whole idea behind creating comics, right, is doing something in a unique art style with a unique story, and we can tell it over a certain amount of pages or a certain amount of panels. And how many story arcs are there? Like, what would you create it off of? And what you guys have done really awesome and shown over the last year and some things is you all have imaginations. You're all able to create stuff. And now we're giving it a little bit more purpose. Who's talking about bread? I have no idea, but now I'm hungry. So here's what we're going to start with. The main story arcs, how many are there? Really, there are about 3, and then there are 6 total, but 3 arcs, and then you have the reverse. All right, are you ready, Kat? Because you're going to have to write this down, because I'm not going to remember, and you're going to have to repeat this for me. Kat's my assistant today. Kat, I don't know why they're talking about bread either, so I need you to figure that out and then get back to me. So we've got like a rags to riches story, right? Which is from a fall and then a rise, right? So it's building up. It's going from maybe a bad or like a situation into something very good. And then the obvious or the opposite of that would be the riches to rags story, which is totally blowing it. Which to me, that's the fall to the or the rise to the fall. That's a Wile E. Coyote. If you notice in the film that we watched with Chuck, that he directed, Wiley it never goes up. It just is a continual slope down and he's done. So that would be like the riches to rags story. And then we have the Icarus, which is the rise and then the fall. So, and then A Man in the Hole, which is the fall to the rise. And then you have an Oedipus, which is a rise, woohoo, a fall. No, I'm sorry, a fall, then a rise, and then a fall again. So it's crappy, now it's great, now it's crappy again. And then you have the opposite of that, which is like the Cinderella, which is the rise, fall, rise. So what do we want to pull off? A tragedy, right? Like a Romeo and Juliet. Do we want to pull off a comedy? Like think of whatever you want to. I'm going to say Robin Hood Men in Tights, which is hilarious. Do you want to pull off like a quest or a journey, kind of like a Lord of the Rings type of deal? Or something like that, or like a rebirth. So someone kind of like coming into their own, and that's a kind of a superhero story, right? A rebirth is you're coming out of something bad into something better. Okay, Icarus, the flying too close to the sun, but you're right, because that's the whole, what's it called? What's the example? All right, so let's get into our own story. And what I want to do today, it blends drawing and writing. So grab your pencil, grab your paper, and can you do something? So kind of like the cover we're showing from Sara. Oftentimes when you check out a comic or something, you can tell by the cover a bit of the main point of what's going on in that storyline. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to start with kind of where we want to take it. And for everybody, this can be your own thing, right? You don't have to follow the same exact thing I'm doing. So I'm going to choose a quest is what I want to do. So I want you to think for a moment, would you show a tragedy, which I guess you could show like this, like if you just saw this cover, oh, there you are. If you just saw that cover, that might look tragic, right? Spider-Man's down on the ground. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming around him. It's not looking very well for him. So we're telling a story in one frame. This might be a quest, right? Or like a fall to rise type of deal where he looks like he's kind of in control. Spider-Man is on top. You got the bad guy down here. So he obviously has the higher position. Maybe he's got the upper hand. I want you to think about that. So we're going to go, I'm going to write this in the corner. Tragedy. Kat, I expect a report on the bread in like 5 minutes. I have no idea what bread is or why we're talking about bread. Nathaniel's talking about bread. Tragedy, quest. Maybe it's the quest for bread, and the tragedy is there is no bread, and the comedy is somebody threw the bread and a duck ate it. I don't know. We'll go comedy and maybe like a rebirth. Okay. So something where they're coming out of the ashes type of deal. So let's start with that. I want you to think of your own thing. I'm going to go quest. And when we set up our sketch and our drawing, while we're not really necessarily getting to character design yet, because that's a little bit more of what Lee's going to tackle tomorrow, and then next week, we are kind of setting up the overall idea, like what kind of setting is it? What environment are they in? And who might be involved. So we can pull this off in silhouettes. And what I want to do is just block out what our cover would look like. So you can just bust a real easy rectangle. And let's get into kind of focal point. So if I have something in the center, it's kind of in the middle of everything. It's balanced out. there's not as much emotion in that, right? If my main action point is in the center, it feels like it's maybe we're in, I don't know, an in-between state or something, or there's a little bit more calm if I have a main action at the top or bottom of my page, and key point in here is Spidey, right? So in the Spider-Man cover, we've got he's more on the upper half of the page, and you've got main bad guy down below, right? So there's a little bit more drama between the two. Let's go one more. And so even on this for book 5, right? This is more of, obviously you've got, this is Peter Parker, by the way, this is Spider-Man's dad. And you've got the action up here. This is very ominous, right? So what I'm seeing, if I were to block this out, like what Sarah did, I've got the threat is above me, right? Which automatically puts me in an inferior position here because I'm down below. And just like in strategy and everything else, you always want, you know, you want to get the upper hand, you want the high ground, if you will. So this cover right here kind of depicts danger, right? Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but he had a kid, and his kid actually has powers too. No. So let's block in something. So if I'm going to go quest, if I want to show something, maybe I want to show that the quest in my journey is going to take me, it's going to take a while. There's going to be a lot of work to it. If I have myself, if I have my main character, and let's just say I'm dealing with one character, if I have that more to the top in a dominant position, maybe that might be for the last book of what happens, but let's just say I'm starting off and I want to show the weight of the whole thing. So if I have, and I'm going to rough in, this doesn't mean it's a human, by the way, this just means it's a shape. So there's my main character. So I want you to pick, right? You got a tragedy, quest, comedy, or rebirth. And we're just blocking in our covers a bit here. Kat, do you have a bread? Yeah. Do you have a bread thing, Kat? Are you taking notes? Because I need notes on the whole thing. I'm going to forget everything I've just been saying.
So from what I can tell, someone said bread means lots of loaves of bread or something. It said LOL means I did my best.
All right, that's fine. All right, so what are the 4 main storylines? Because I already forgot. What are the 4 main storylines, Kat, that we're dealing with today?
They were riches to rags, rags to riches, Icarus, and
Glass shoe.
yes, glass shoe.
Cinderella. All right, that's good. So I'm going to go, and then we're working with either a tragedy, a quest, a comedy, or rebirth. So I'm going to go quest. I want to show just as I'm blocking out my cover, and here I'll put in my little moniker here where my label will be. I want to put in on this one. All right, Alex, easy on the chat, buddy. I want to put in kind of how I want to bring the eye in. So I don't want to clutter up this area necessarily around my main character, but I want to show that there is going to be, it's not going to be easy. So if I were to use like rolling hills and shapes that are very soft and round, it's not going to feel, it's going to feel like, oh, look at that. There's little hills, rolling hills on stuff. It's kind of friendly, right? Rounder shapes are friendlier. If I'm going to use harder edges, like what we've learned in triangles, stuff like that, that is going to connotate more of a, it's a little bit dangerous in what you're taking on, right? It's not as safe. So I'm going to use more jagged lines in mine. And what I want to show too is the fact that there's, I'm going to do a thing all the way up here and show that there's a long way to go. So every time I move past, I'm going to have.
I just want to say
yes.
that the quest is called Bread Quest, and it must have something to do with an adventure, adventuring to get lots and lots of bread.
I'm going to take it that we're on a carb load today. So we're all loading carbs. Bread for the carbs. All right. So as you can see, right, if I'm starting to move my lines down, I've got triangles, 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 lots of triangles, a little bit more dangerous shapes. I haven't clouded around my main figure. And then, yes, all right, so wait, T. Oh, I see, you're responding to a Spider-Man thing. Okay, so I've got my character here. I've got this journey that they're gonna have to go to, and maybe I've got something up at the top. I don't know, there's just a little sun, right? So there's light at the end of the tunnel, means there's some hope over here, like whatever they're looking for is beyond this ridge. But in order to get there is going to be all this stuff in between, you know, and from here I would use some like heavier shading, darker shapes, more ominous shapes, bigger, more jagged, stuff like that. And I don't know what my quest is going to be yet. I'm probably not going to go for the carb load. All right, so what I'm interested in is on a quick tally, and we can just start to unmute ourselves. And two, like, remember when we were doing value? So it gets lighter as you go off into the distance, but maybe as in some of the shapes I have in here, the darker areas are more ominous. So like not everything, like a character might get into an easy spot, and then you've got this dark forest that's off in the side of the hills, and maybe even where they're starting here gets super dark. So I'm just going to shade in a little bit and show a little bit of value in light to dark. And then what I want to hear is from everybody else, what do you think you're going to start with? Tragedy, quest, comedy, or rebirth? Kind of like a Superman, I suppose. So let's go to Kat. What are you starting with?
I think I'm doing a quest.
Okay, quest.
And we'll see how it goes, because of course me really being into drawing dragons and not drawing dragons recently, so we'll see how good of a dragon I draw. But
Awesome. All right, well,
I'm gonna try.
Yes, you give it that effort, man. Absolutely. All right, Keen, are you going tragedy, quest, comedy, or rebirth?
I'm kind of going for that cover, the SpiderMan novel, the last one, you know.
Okay.
Oh, so honestly, don't know. And is there supposed to be a heroine or just a plain person?
Well, our goal for the, showing like female artists and creators is you can choose a female character for your one, or it can be whatever. But we wanted to showcase female writers, creators, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what do you think, Keen? Which one are you going with?
Which genre is end of the world kind of thing?
Which one is what?
No, wait, it's hard to decide.
All right, you tell me which one you want. T, what are you doing? What do you think, T? Are you more tragedy? All right. Wait, who's nobody? I have no idea. A nobody is quest.
Probably quest, I think.
Quest. Okay, that sounds good. What about Tay and Vicky? Man, I'm totally gonna get everybody's names all over the place. All right, you got an adorable witch character that's gonna be the star. Interesting. I like that. So can I ask you, is there a characteristic, like is your witch character someone that starts out low and goes high, or is it a little more villainous and they start out high, go, and then they end up taking a fall in the storyline? Like where do you see that going? Is it a hero type thing? Is it a villain type thing? What do you think? She starts out medium and ends up probably higher-ish. Okay, that works. All right, so kind of in the middle, not quite sure. Maybe it's like a Maleficent thing where she wasn't initially kind of the way she was, and then situations being what they were started to drive her into maybe a bit of a different area, which kind of sounds interesting. All right, what about Tay and Vicky? What do you guys, are we going tragedy, quest, comedy, or rebirth? You guys can unmute yourself. It's Liliana and Heather Rose. Sorry, I'm just going by whatever your name is on the thing. You guys can unmute. So are you thinking quest, tragedy, comedy, or rebirth?
Quest, I guess.
Quest. All right. So
Yeah.
do you have an idea of how you're blocking? Ooh, there you go. Can you hold on one second? Let me get zoomed in a little bit. Nice. I like that. Good blocking, like the drawing. Absolutely. Very cool. You're working fast. I like that. All right. What about Heather Rose?
I'm probably doing quest too.
You're going to do quest. Excellent. Do you have an idea for character or situation? Is it something where they start off maybe where they have to build up, they're working their way up, or is it something where they're at the top and they fall and they have to work back again? You can
I think
totally.
it might be something about the top and then bottom.
All right. Okay. So they start up at the top, they fall, and then they kind of pick themselves back up again. I like that. So the graphic novel that I'm writing is more of a rise and then fall and then rise kind of story. All right. So I've got my loose sketch in here. And my idea for my quest is it's aspirational. So whatever is beyond and has to get to this point is going to save whatever this character's main issue is. All right, the little people on the side aren't my original characters. That's okay. Okay, very cool. Let's go to Saif. Saif, what do you think? What is the main arc of your story?
Well, I'm just thinking of something as long as it's unoriginal. So like, I mean, original, so not just something entirely as another story.
Okay. All right, that works. What about Nathaniel?
Bread.
How did I know that was coming? Kat, I need you to mark this down. Whatever bread is. Nathaniel and bread. What about Lottie, who I'm going to take a solid guess in the dark here? That's Laura, because you have the same picture. Laura, what about you? What is your main character? What is your main story arc? Or if you're not there. All right, okay, Laura is Avery and I'm Evie. Wait, who's who? I don't understand. I'm totally mixed up. All right, whoever Evie is, Evie, tell me what your... Do I have it wrong? I think I have it totally wrong. Let's go with Evie. Can Evie tell me what your story is? Okay.
Speaking of stories is very, very hard for me, so it might take a few weeks.
That's okay. What do you find yourself though gravitating more toward like a tragedy, like kind of like a Romeo Juliet type of deal, where it doesn't turn out well for anybody at the end, or like a quest?
Not really. Oh,
what about a comedy?
Comedy or like a quest or something.
Comedy or quest. Okay, that works. All right. I'm going to go with whoever, I don't know. I'm mixed up on all the names. All right, if you want to share where you're going with that, here's what I'm going to do. So I've got my main layout kind of going down. What I also wanted to do is see if we can quick sketch what Sarah did in this book and use that as an example, right? So maybe as we're working stuff out, we might not totally have an idea, or we might, as we're working, like Liliana showed us what she was doing, Heather Rose was thinking. So here's what I want to do. We're going to quick sketch the cover. gonna see if I can do this without too much glare. Let's see if I turn that one off. That works. Okay, so on your paper, what I want you to do is go for another rectangle. Okay. And then we're gonna block this out. We're gonna rough in shapes. We don't need a lot of detail. All right, so here's what I want to pull off. You can see the whole cover. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, which will actually work better for how we're sketching. All right, so all I wanted to do is start to rough in some things. So if this is my cover right here, how is this going to work? I've got my, if I'm to break out my cover, I've got my top third, my middle third, my lower third. Okay, so I noticed even in my composition, I've got my main character. He sits right at that, right in the middle, right? So if I'm blocking out, kind of like what I did here on mine, and he's got a little twist to him. So I look at where my lower third is, which is kind of like where his legs start, and then you've got Peter, that his head is like on this third, and how I'm breaking that out. All right, so I've got shoulders. He's kind of on the ground. I'm going to show his legs coming back like this, and then his arm. Okay, and then I've got his son, SpiderMan, reaching down. And I'm just gonna kind of do that for his head. So I'm showing that I'm looking off into this distance. So I've got a loose sketch, right? Just getting my blocking down. You notice I don't have a lot of detail to it. I'm just roughing out and working out how I want things to look. And then look at how they use shape. So she's got shapes coming off the side. This actually comes down a little bit lower, right? And all these kind of, they're pointing, like you have a main background element that points right to his face. So our eye tends to go, if you look at the lines here that are diagonals, there's a lot of diagonals in here, and it's all pointing to this action, which kind of keeps us focused on his son. And I don't remember what his son's name is in this book. So I'm just going to rough this in. And then I've got these creatures at the top. Again, we're just roughing these in. You don't have to show a lot of detail. I'm not worried about the title either. So this isn't about getting the title in. And I'm going to just shade a little bit. You can see fairly easily by just getting some of your main elements down. How that all comes together. And then even up here, it's a little dark. So it's a little heavier on top. Piece of cake. You got some blocking down. Peter Parker has no hand. You have to find that out in the comic book. Something happens to him. It's very important to the story and what happens, and there's a twist at the end, which kind of makes it, it's kind of a tragedy, but not totally. All right. So I'm just going to get a couple elements in. That's it. So you can kind of see how that goes around. And notice that even around here, it's not super cluttered. All my elements up top give me that feel of everything kind of crashing down on me. So who got this done real fast? Not just me. It only took 5 minutes. All right, let's go with Liliana and Heather Rose. Let's see what you guys got. There you go. Hold on. Nice. You got it. Again, easy blocking, right? Which you nailed it, and you got that whole vibe of what's going on in the cover. Makes it feel very heavy of whatever the situation is. It's not like a great thing that's happening. I dig it.
Thank you.
What about little Heather Rose? Nice. See, there you go, dude. Quick sketch. Love how you got the whatever those creatures are. I think they're kind of robotic-esque, but all you needed to do is show exactly what you did, and that gives a whole idea of where you want to elaborate on that cover. You guys did great. Okay, so let's go to who else wants to go, since I don't see anybody else's cameras turned on other than T and Keen. Who wants to roll? Kat, can I see yours?
Okay. I had to go help my sister because she got confused, but I got that, and I'm working on this because I kept erasing because, yeah.
Well, so here's the thing. Don't focus so much on erasing. Like if you notice, mine's kind of sloppy, right? But I've got my main stuff down. I'm able to kind of pull that off. I think you were on the right track completely. I can see Peter, I can see Spider-Man, and I can see the forms up at the top. I really think you were on the right track. I don't think you needed to erase. So you got all that main blocking down. You're just going to shade.
No, I didn't erase it. About my main.
Oh, I see. You know, I thought, especially for a quick reference sketch on blocking out a cover, I think you did great. Okay, so what about Saif or Keen or T? Whoever Jay is said they can share.
I think Keen wants to share and Jay can share his in a bit.
Okay. All right, and forgive me, if you're new, everybody changes their name, so I don't exactly know who's what anymore. Because names are all over the place. All right, Keen. So if you're new and I'm like, hey, Jay, and I don't know Jay, but Jay's like new, and it's like, no, my name is actually Jay. My apologies. And welcome. All right, Keen, let's see.
Isn't we a rough character sketch?
Can you hold that up to the camera a little bit? There you go. Nice.
Rags to riches. So this person is literally a poor person. A person that just got kicked out of her own house, then gets run over by a truck a few days later, then and turns into an angel that's not able to go to heaven because it needs to defeat some demons that might accidentally went to Earth. So yeah.
Dude, that is a super awesome storyline and very quick. I am very impressed. Way to go, Keen. I had no idea. Like, you took some cool twists, and I think it sets up a very interesting plot. That's cool, man. I like that. Way to go. All right, let's T. Can I see yours? Yeah, T.
So it's not quite done, but this is the little witch character. And
Oh, that's cool.
the cover.
Ooh, I like it. So what's going on in that cover or that shot?
I don't know, wind or something. There's wind, I guess.
It's all right. That works. That works. I like the character design. Very cool. Let's roll to. All right, someone's Avery's cam isn't working. All right, what about Laura? Laura, do you have yours? If not, that's okay. I'm gonna guess I have no idea. All right, what about Nathaniel? Laura is Avery. Okay, Avery. Man, I'm so confused.
I don't see Nathaniel either.
I don't see Nathaniel either. All right, well, we'll wrap it at that. If you want to show, you can pop on. Just put it in the chat.
Oh, here's Nathaniel.
There he is.
So this is just a quick sketch. I got this idea from a video game. It's an indie game with the character reaching for something.
All right, nice.
And it's bread. You guessed it, everybody. You guessed it. You're number one.
Bread. So the quest is for bread. Maybe there's a lack of carbs or something, or baked goodness, and that's what your character is reaching for. All right, I dig it. So if anybody, like, if you see something that I don't see, Scott, let me know.
Sure.
So here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow is Lee. I believe Lee is focusing on some character development. So she's going to do hers a little bit backwards, where she's going to focus on that and then get into story next week as we develop. I am going to get into character and what goes into it, why we do certain things. So T already kind of teed that up. Haha, there you go. And with what he already put together in a character design, which I think is very awesome. And then why is the character T, and you don't have to answer this right now, but why are they wearing the clothes they're wearing? Why do they look the way they do? Like, is there something, does that give you kind of a backstory about some things? And then we can reference that with characters already comic book style as we go along. And I'll show you some more of Sara Pichelli stuff. All right. So I'll figure out who's who, I suppose, as we go along. I'll get it eventually. But what I would highly recommend is check out Georgia O'Keeffe. Check out her stuff online. I love the color that she puts into it. It's amazing form. She does a lot with the Southwest. There's a lot in galleries all over the place. And then check out Sara Pichelli, Pichelli. I'll change that on the site tonight. And then that way you guys can take a look at some really awesome female artists. I know Daryl's got some awesome female artists and writers that he's going to do. Mike Funt is doing female comedians like Ellen DeGeneres and a whole bunch of other people, like Lucille Ball, which is awesome. And then Naylene has her whole development with female artists that she's focusing on. I think it's going to be very cool. So with that, I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with next week. And I hope you all have a fantastic evening on a Monday, because it's thawing here. And T and I don't have to be in sub-zero anymore. We can actually get into the 40s and 50s. It's so awesome. All right, later, dudes. Have a great night.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.